There has been a lot of buzz about these shoulder pads. Even NFL players are starting to take notice. Today I'm going to give you an honest review of my honest opinion of the 2-in-1 shoulder pads. So let's get started. So the 2-in-1 shoulder pads, they come in two different systems. You have the carbon system, which is presented right here, and you also have a poly plated system. The two-piece system consists of a mesh vest and the shell. They are not attached, and you can remove the shell from the vest at any time. You can also attach a back plate if you like. The pros to these shoulder pads are that they are super light, by far the lightest shoulder pads that I've ever put on. You can use the vest for helmet only practice for extra safety. They give you extra rib and upper body protection with the extended vest. And most importantly, the shoulder pads are very low profile. A lot of guys are going for that new low profile look, not so much the bulkier shoulder pads, and it gives you a nice look when you have on your shoulder pads. Lastly, they're easy to clean. You can simply remove the shell from the vest like I mentioned previously, and you can easily clean the vest and just let it dry outside or air dry. So I wanted to switch back to this angle to discuss some of the things that I am personally not so favorable of. Just to give you context, I've wore these shoulder pads for 1.5 seasons, and I've had a good run in them, and I've enjoyed everything about them. So this is just some of the things that I think can improve. Number one is that I play in the European League of Football, and we play during the summer months, and it can get really, really hot. And what I can say about these shoulder pads is that with the vest, with this extra padding and the extended length that it goes down to protect your torso, it can get really hot in these shoulder pads. I've always noticed that when I wear these shoulder pads, I tend to not wear a shirt underneath it. Another thing too is that because they are so low profile, and I want you to think about this for yourself. Obviously, I mentioned previously that that's one of the pros to these shoulder pads is the low profile, right? It looks great. You know, it looks great in your uniform. When you put your jersey on, it looks really, really nice. You are at times forced to use more of your helmet. Just think about it. If you have smaller shoulders, it's less shoulders that you can put on your opponent when it comes to tackling. So at times you're forced to use more of your helmet. And that's something that if you're a banger or someone who likes to hit, that's something that you have to consider just simply because the shoulder pads are so low profile. Another thing is that if you're familiar with the more traditional pads, in this part of the shoulder pads, you have an adjustable padding within your traditional shoulder pads that allows you to adjust in order to fit along your clavicle, your traps, and your shoulders areas. These shoulder pads, they don't have anything right here. That's something that I was always kind of skeptical about when it came to these shoulder pads, is that if you do get these shoulder pads, to wear a padded shirt underneath it to give you a little bit more padding and cushion, because right here on the shoulder, these pads, nah. If you're a banger, that's something to be cautious of. And because of that in itself, you will feel more of your hits. If anybody tell you anything differently, you will definitely feel more of your tackling just simply because you have less padding, in my opinion. Yes, they're low profile. Yes, they do have padding throughout. Traditional pads just tend to have a lot more for you when it comes to the shoulder and trap region of the shoulder pad. And also the last thing that I'm not so favorable about, and I'm just being honest about it, is the price. I really feel like these shoulder pads are maybe a little bit too overpriced. I am not sure how much it costs to manufacture these shoulder pads. $700 is kind of a stretch, and that's without the back plate. Also, you have the poly material, which is half the price. So those are priced around $350. So I think the price in itself is something that's not so favorable when it comes to these shoulder pads, just simply because they're so expensive. And my final thoughts about these shoulder pads is that I think for certain positions like a quarterback, a wide receiver, a finesse cornerback, kickers for sure, in any position that's not really banging, these are perfect shoulder pads for you. They're light. You have full range of motion. That's something that I forgot to mention. And I just wonder why more NFL guys are not wearing these shoulder pads. And I really don't think it's a promotional thing. I think guys understand and know about these shoulder pads at this point. If I was to make just a guess, I would just say it's because there are some questions about its safety. I was trying to find the weight online, but I couldn't manage to find the exact weight of these shoulder pads. But these shoulder pads are super, super light. You're going to run fast. You're going to jump fast. You're going to have full range of mobility. And I'm just going to be honest. Like I said, I've had these shoulder pads for 1.5 seasons. So I've had my practices in them. I've had my games in them. I am a valuable resource when it comes to giving you my opinion on these shoulder pads. And of course, these are the carbons. So I've tried the polys and I didn't like them at all. I just didn't like the comfort of them. I prefer the carbons, but obviously these are 2 times the price of the poly. If you're looking for some shoulder pads, these are it. And if you like this video, please drop a comment below and let me know what your favorite shoulder pads are. But these are the lightest pads in football, so if you decide to get them, let me know what you think about them.